All right, we're live, man. This is Rad Tech Talk Live special, featuring some special guests. Thank you guys for joining us today. We're trying to bring together the radiology community, and we're gonna start it off. I'm gonna do some introductions. If you don't know me, my name is Kwame, aka MRI Man. I've been making MRI videos, education, rad videos, all that since 2017. I'm all about, spreading the knowledge, motivating people you already know. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. I got, my first guest here. His name is Eddie, Allied Health Mentors. I'm gonna bring him on. He's gonna talk about what he does, who he is, what he's all about. Okay, let's get it going. I'm gonna add him on. All right, Eddie.
What's
Hey,
going
what's
on, man?
up,
How's it
man?
going?
Welcome to the show, dude.
Thank
Glad to
you.
have
Thank you
you
for
on,
having
man.
me. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
man, for sure. Yeah. So like, talk to the people, man. Let them know what you do, what you're all about. I'm gonna share your screen in a minute too. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. So my name is Eddie. I started up this kind of initiative called Allied Health Mentors. I am a phlebotomist by trade, so I work in the lab, hospitals, clinics, research, things like that, public health. And so I really found a lot of success in my career so far as a phlebotomist. And I just wanted to share what it was like with other people. But by working in the hospital, I run across all different types of allied health professionals, from sonographers, X-ray techs, nurses, right? Everyone you can think of, and even some jobs that you might not have thought of, like MRI technicians. And so I thought it'd be cool to have a channel where I get to interview and just give knowledge about other allied health careers. But at the same time, I wanted to provide some type of mentorship or advice. And so that's why I called it Allied Health Mentors. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. And as you can see here, I kind of started off with like phlebotomy videos, and I could probably have more videos if I wanted to. And then I've kind of slowly transitioned into doing career interviews. And so my New Year's resolution is to really fill up that page and start doing more interviews with more allied health professionals. So as you can see here, like the one you're on right there is a woman who is a phlebotomist, but she also became a entrepreneur. And so just stories like that I like to promote. So that's who I am. That's what I'm about. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Hey, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, Eddie. Yeah. So like, I've been following you for a while and just peeping out what you do, and it's amazing, dude. So I do have a question for you. So what advice do you have for someone trying to pursue a career as a phlebotomist?
I say do it, man. A lot of people don't really know what phlebotomy is or what a phlebotomist does, but it's a great, I would say, it's a great career, but it's also a great stepping stone. So for people out there who are doing like pre-med, nursing, want to be physician assistants, it's a great way to get your foot in the door and to gain some clinical experience, especially for physician assistants, because you do need some type of paid experience in order to get accepted to a program. And the unique thing about phlebotomists is that we work upstairs with all the other allied health professionals and doctors, doing patient care bedside, but we also go down into the lab on the bottom and we kind of see the people behind the scenes. And so phlebotomy is very unique because you can work in hospitals, you can work in outpatient, you can work in public health, you can transition into microbiology. You might even find careers outside of nursing and medicine and go into the laboratory and become a clinical lab scientist or a medical lab technician. So anyone who's trying to get into this, I say go for it. Do your research. Talk to some people who are already in the field. I'm a big advocate for LinkedIn. If you don't know any phlebotomists, jump on LinkedIn and kind of just search phlebotomists, and you're
Mhm.
going to find tons of people in that field, whether it's phlebotomy or anything else. So I say go for it. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of needles. And if anything out there interests you, take a chance and just do some research, because you never know where it's going to end up for you. So I would say that's my advice.
Awesome, man. Well said and well respected for what you do, man. Phlebotomy, phlebotomist, very important in the medical field. Amazing what you're doing here. I
Thank you. Yeah.
highly suggest you guys go follow him. His channel is gonna blow up. Subscribe to his channel. He's gonna be hanging out, and he'll be asking I mean, he'll be answering some questions at the end, towards the end. I got two more guests. So Eddie, just kick back for a minute,
All
and
right,
I'm gonna
tech.
introduce the next guest. Give me 1 second here.
For sure.
All right, the next guest. A lot of you may know him, Jason, aka your X-ray tech. I'm gonna get him on. So yeah, Jason, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How are you, man? They should know you by now. You're always on my channel. No. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
introduce yourself. Tell them what you're all about, your brand, what you do, and go for it, Jason.
All right, thank you. So my name is Jason. I'm an X-ray technologist. I'm the creator of Your X-ray Tech. So I got some experience in the field,
Mhm.
and in the field, I noticed, a lot of patients, a lot of staff had questions about what I do, and the different opportunities in the field. So I decided to put some content out on social media. I started off with, I think, Facebook. Now I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and I have a website and YouTube. So there's plenty of content out there, whether you're a student, whether you're already a technologist, or maybe you're considering the field,
I don't
right?
think a lot of people
I put a
realize.
little bit of everything out there. There's even merchandise. I mean, so I try to do different things. Uh, so yeah, and it's just the beginning too. It's just the beginning.
For sure. There's one question I did want to ask you. Um, so yeah, look, this is kind of a deep question, but do your best with this.
Okay.
Um, Tell me about a patient that touched your heart, and tell me about a patient that changed your perspective about X-ray.
About X-ray. Okay.
Hmm.
Those are great questions. So I appreciate all my patients, right? All of them, and all of them are great and special. Um, so let's start with the first one, right? One that touched my heart. So that's the great thing about this field is yes, you're making money, and yes, it's fun and interesting, but you get to work with people and all types of people. So I remember at one point when I was doing mobile, I would visit a lot of nursing homes, and at one nursing home there was always a patient. She would always be there to greet, like she was always there. Like you come in, and she'd always say, "Hey, good morning," or "Welcome," or "Hello." Um, how are you doing? Like really nice lady, and I'm thinking she had some experience in healthcare, because she made sure that she asked how I was doing, no matter how busy I was. So it was always a pleasure talking to her, and I always felt bad sometimes too because I had to get to the patient, so I had to kind of keep it short. But even in the short conversation, she would always ask, "Hey, have you eaten yet? Have you had your lunch yet?
Oh,
Or don't forget to take a lunch. Don't forget to take a break." Because I think she understood that in healthcare we get busy,
oh yeah.
and not only do we get busy, but sometimes we put other people's needs in front of ours. So sometimes we forget to do something so simple like take a lunch, right? That sounds ridiculous, but yeah, sometimes you get so caught up that it's like, wow, you know what? I haven't even taken a lunch. I'm almost out the door. So she would always remind me to say, hey, it's okay, to take care of yourself, you know.
Mhm.
So, um, so yeah, I would have to say, I mean, she's one of the many, but yeah, I think she stood out the most for that question. Second question was, I'm sorry, can you remind me?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Great answer, by the way, man. Yeah. So, and tell me about a patient that changed your perspective about X-ray.
About X-ray. Oh man, that's another tough one because there's so many great patients.
Right? I know,
Um,
man. There is. There is.
you know, um, I kind of knew what I was getting into, right? But not really because it's such a broad field. Um, but just pretty much every patient, when they show you that. they appreciate your care, that they respect you because you're there to help them and they trust you. All that stuff is what kind of made me switch my mindset from this is not just a job anymore. Like this is a responsibility. This is something that has a purpose and a meaning, and I want to keep doing this. So um, yeah, like the patients themselves in general, um, it was different from a customer. Like whenever I had a regular job, going to college or before, um, I had customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clients, whatever. So I would try to give them the best customer service, but it's just not the same as in healthcare because now they're patients. They're still customers, they're still clients, but they're patients, and it just changed my mentality. Like there's this is a customer, this is a patient. So I don't know if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
um, but that changed my perspective on the field and
Mm-hmm.
made me want to keep doing it. Right.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Thanks for sharing. It's like there's always, you can be doing your job and you're just like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like it just becomes like repetitive, and sometimes you forget like why you really do it. And then
Right.
you come across a patient where they're just like really grateful for what you do, and they come with stories like, hey, maybe you found something that helped save their life, and
Right.
they're really grateful. And then you kind of come back and you're like, wow, this is really what I do is really matters. Just sometimes it's hard to think about that when it gets very stressful. And yeah, man. So the last but not least, so you're just gonna fall back for a second, Jason, and we'll get you back
Sure.
on. But yeah, I want to introduce somebody that's like, blowing up, I think, in my eyes on social media, YouTube. She has an amazing Discord. It's Lolgeselle. She's an ultrasound tech. So yeah, welcome to the show. Thank you. And we worked together before. We made some content, and yeah. So Giselle, tell them about like what you do and about you know your social media and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Hi. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Giselle and I do ultrasound. So people don't know that ultrasound is part of radiology, but it's like a subset of radiology because radiology is like the umbrella. And then you've got like MRI, X-ray, and nuclear medicine, CAT scan, and I do ultrasound. So most of the people know me for scanning babies, but we
Yep.
also scan more than just babies. And that's why I kind of just wanted to spread ultrasound awareness to let people know that, hey, we do more than just scanning babies. So it kind of just happened one day. After the pandemic and everything, I just picked up a camera and recorded a day in the life, and it kind of just grew from there. And it was really cool to see it kind of evolve. So it's been pretty fun, and I met MRI Man on YouTube and stuff, and it's really cool to like meet other content creators, especially in the healthcare field. And I've just been really passionate. I've always been passionate about ultrasound, but I never knew I could actually do that on social media. And before on YouTube, I used to make like vlogs for families and like trips I've gone on, Disney, and so I was just like, hey, let's just do some ultrasound videos. And it kind of just grew from there. So I've got the Discord and we started a podcast last year. So it's been pretty cool. And I've been loving every second of it. It's been really fun.
For sure. Yeah. And the Discord is pretty awesome because it's not just for ultrasound techs, right? Like any
Yeah.
modality, PET, MR,
Mm-hmm.
X-ray can join.
Yeah.
And I've seen that community is growing. I put links to like everything.
Thank
All the
you.
channels we're talking about, the links are in the description. Go follow them. And yeah, hello, Giselle. Yeah, I had like a question for you. So
Mm-hmm.
what's one thing you wish you would have known before you began your career as an ultrasound tech?
Yeah. So I have a lot of videos on like why I became a sonographer in the first place. And a lot of times people actually had no idea about sonography until they actually get an ultrasound scan. And a lot of times people don't even know that we do other things in babies. So when people come to the hospital, they get confused when they're like, we're going to do an ultrasound on your legs or something like that. But what I had wished I'd known beforehand, because I kind of just fell into ultrasound. I was originally a nursing student. I wished I knew that there was like so much more to ultrasound, because we're kind of like a secret society almost, because people know not a lot about us, especially in radiology. And I wish I knew that as a student. Like, I wish I knew that there was so many options. Like, I could do echo if I really wanted to, which is just ultrasound of the heart. There's vascular, and you don't only have to do just one kind of specialty. You can do all of them, some of them. And schools, it's really hard. And I wish I knew that you learn everything out in the field, because a lot of times I was really stressed out in school, and I'm like, how am I going to know all this? Like, how are we going to be able to understand what we're looking at on the screen? Because ultrasound technologists have to be able to know what they're looking at. It's very independent on the person who's scanning the patient. And so we have to know what we're looking at. And I wish I knew that it's okay in school not to know what you're looking at, because you learn everything in clinical. So you kind of learn everything as you go in your experiences, all the patients you scan, because there's so much out there to see, but we're not always going to see everything. And that's what I kind of just like to share with everyone that's doing their research now, is that you're not going to know everything, and you're going to learn everything over time. Like, school is not end all be all. You're going to keep learning as you go, even after you graduate.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, ultrasound's a little, I don't know too much about it, but like when you guys are scanning patients, are you guys have a lot to do with the report, right? You have to
Yeah.
do
So I
measurements and stuff like
believe,
that?
yeah, I don't know. I don't think you guys do reports, right? MRI, X-ray.
No, not really. I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think nuclear medicine does either. So I think ultrasound is the only modality that really has to know how to do some extensive paperwork. Because I work alongside CAT scan and X-ray, and they can get their patients, in and out, right? We actually get our patients in and out, but then after we have the patient out of there, we also have to write a paperwork. It's a technologist worksheet, and we have to describe everything we saw on the exam. So your hope is that everything's normal on a patient, but a majority of time in the hospital, if they come into the hospital, there is something going on. And let's say there's a mass on the pancreas, mass on the liver, mass on the kidney, if there's any fluid collections, and let's say gallstones, for example, or kidney stones, we have to be able to see all of that. And a lot of times, for example, like I'll have patients that are transported to my hospital, transferred from a different hospital. The other hospital called gallstones, and then I get the patient and I don't see any gallstones. So
Wow.
it's really, really dependent on the person scanning you. And that makes a world's difference. I've seen a lot of people who have came to the hospital for positive DVT, which is a thrombosis in the leg. And then I scan them and I don't see a thrombus in the leg.
Whoa.
So, it's kind of, it's, there are mistakes obviously in the healthcare field. We're humans, right? We're not robots. And that's kind of the hard part about ultrasound, because we've got to write everything we see, and the doctors kind of are just like, they really trust us.
Wow.
So,
Man, a lot of responsibility. All right. So now I'm going to add Jason, Eddie, I'm going to add you guys back on, and we're just going to kind of see if anyone has any questions. And I don't know. We'll just talk a little bit. Hold on a second. Let me get you guys back on. All right. So now you got everybody on. But yeah, you guys watching, feel free to ask any of us questions, whatever you guys want to say at this point of the stream. Yeah, I don't know. Like, let me see. Are you muted over here? Got you on mute.
Was that me? I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jason, I think you're still muted.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But yeah, man. Just wait for some questions. But yeah, I don't know if there's like anything you guys want to talk about, or if you guys
I'd like to
have any
jump on
questions.
that moment of the diagnosis, just because I think it's important, right? So for X-ray, it's definitely out of our scope to diagnose, right? And a lot of people assume we just push buttons. So
Hmm.
we can't diagnose, but we could definitely look at their image, and we call it image acquisition. Look at the image and try to look for pathology, right? Like we have the patient in front of us, we can ask them questions, and we can kind of like pass that information over to the radiologist. And so no, we're not diagnosing, but what we should do as technologists is take a look at the image that we created and the information we got, and then pass that over to the doctor. That right there is something within our scope. What we can't do is tell the patient. We cannot say, "Hey, look, there's a fracture or there's no fracture," because we could be wrong. We're not the doctors. That is out of our scope. So
Hmm.
when it comes to being a technologist, there's different skills um, because you could be someone who just takes the image, or you could be somebody who actually helps the doctor by providing that additional information. So I highly recommend try to get that, like build on that scope. It literally only takes a minute or two to look at your images. Um, and then what I would recommend if you're an X-ray tech or thinking about it, is once the report does come in and you kind of had an initial diagnosis, check the report and see if it matches up. And then that's how you'll know if you're in the ballpark. Like I suspected it was pneumonia on that chest X-ray. And let's see what the doctor says on the official report. And then
Hmm.
if you see pneumonia, well, there you go. Now you know what pneumonia looks like on an X-ray, and that way you can recognize it on the next one. So that way, let's say you get a patient, you take the chest X-ray and it's pneumonia. Maybe you could pass the report over as a stat. Like, hey, look, pneumonia. I think this patient, needs to get looked at right away. So again, you're not diagnosing to the patient, but you're definitely still assisting and staying within your scope over here. So I got to give a lot of credit to sonographers because there's more pressure
Mm-hmm.
with diagnosing. So the fact that I don't have to like legally diagnose it is kind of like an ease off my shoulders, right? Because I could leave it to the doctor. So
Hmm.
the fact that the sonographers in ultrasound has that responsibility, I give you all a lot of like kudos because you're doing your job, you're working with the patients, and you have that. So I think that's one of the challenges that they deal with that we don't have to as much, but we
Mhm.
could still add that to our skill. I don't know if that should make sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I've actually well, because I see you guys I give you guys all props because I know you guys get a ton of patients, in X-ray. I think
Hmm.
every single patient in our hospital that comes in gets an X-ray, like,
Pretty much.
almost every single patient. But yeah, it's pretty demanding what you guys do, so I could only imagine if you guys had to even have worksheets and kind of almost do that for you guys, but yeah, it is a lot of pressure, I feel like, for, ultrasound, and it's funny just because like, a lot of times people think we can just kinda get through it really quick, like, get through the ultrasound really quick, write the worksheet up really quick. The faster we do things, the more we miss things,
Hmm.
and that's why, I like to promote quality over quantity, but it's hard because doctors want more quantity, I feel like.
Yes.
They order so much and they expect us to go really fast, and so but I really do appreciate you kind of acknowledging that because a lot of times people don't acknowledge what we do actually.
And I think that like what we're doing is important because even the doctors don't really know what we do. Even the
Mhm.
nurses don't really know what we do. They're expecting the images. They're
Hmm.
expecting us to do certain things, but it's pretty hard to really explain. Like I know there's 10 X-rays. I know one or two might take 5 minutes, but some might take 15. This one might take 20. And
Yeah.
so same thing with
Positioning them and stuff, huh?
ultrasound. When it's
I say,
quantity, yeah,
those people have, like, broken bones.
yeah,
Yeah, they hurting, right?
Yeah.
Crying
yeah,
babies.
and
Mhm.
or babies, so there's no like it's not cookie cutter. It's definitely not like none of these fields are cookie cutter. So I understand the quantity part, And even us, we want to help as many people as we can, but we still need that quality part. Um, so if quantity is an issue, maybe get more staff, maybe get more equipment, but you could only put so
True.
much on one technologist. I don't care how skilled they are
Mm-hmm.
or how seasoned they are. That's still a human
Right.
being, as you mentioned. Like we still have our limits, and
Yeah.
we can only push that limit so much. But so yeah, I think that's my 2 cents
Okay.
on that.
Yeah.
So there's a question here from, I don't know if you guys can see it. It says, do you guys
Yeah.
see it? It says, do you remember any interview questions for getting into your programs? Yeah, I'll start with I'll start up. What was that?
Sorry.
I'll start with Giselle. Do
Sure.
you remember any interview questions getting into your program? You can give us
Yeah.
like 2 or something, and I'll
Yeah.
pass.
So I do know that they looked at our transcripts. So I'm not sure if for other programs if they do that, but I remember one of them was, I mean, I didn't have the best grades in college, to be honest, but they, if you repeat a class, you can, they'll take the second grade, right? So a lot of times programs will allow you to repeat a class and get the second better grade, and they'll ask you like why. They'll ask you about your transcript, like, what happened? Did you have any personal issues, things like that? And I think that it's important to let people know in your interview, like kind of your process, how your like the process of
Mhm.
trying to get into the program is, like your personal experiences, and they kind of get to know you more and why you want to be part of the program. And so that kind of gives them an opportunity to see what kind of person you are. Also, another question they ask is like, how do you do in like hard situations, difficult situations? Because they want to see that you're able to get through hard stuff in the program. Like the program is not easy, and so they want to make sure that you're ready and capable to do whatever it takes to finish that program. I think they're willing to take the person with, I mean, you don't have to have the highest GPA. Of course, we want you to have a high GPA, right? But they want to take the person who's willing to get through and persevere. So I think it's important to show your personalities with those kinds of questions.
Nice, well said. And yeah, same thing to you, Eddie. Do you remember any interview questions getting into your program?
Phlebotomy is very laxed compared to, I think, your profession. So when I did my phlebotomy program, I was actually still a senior in high school, and so yeah, I was in my second spring semester of senior year,
Awesome.
and I knew when I was getting out of high school, I wasn't going to go to a university right away. I knew I was going to go to community college, but I also didn't want to work a minimum wage job, and so phlebotomy was something very easy to get into. So I pretty much just showed up at the trade school. They said, yeah, if you're going to be graduated by the time you take your national exam, that's fine. But that was pretty much it. I really just had to pay to get in. So not really on the program side. And it does vary. So being in California,
Mhm.
we're mandated by the state to have a licensure, a CPT-1 or a CPT-2. Um, but you have to take a California approved phlebotomy program. There's only 4 states in the country that require a licensure similar to that, which is Washington, Louisiana, California, and New York. And then all other states, they kind of leave it up to the health department to say what's required for a program. So, like in Florida, you can
Mhm.
just apply to a phlebotomist position and they'll train you on the job.
Oh
Like
wow.
a lot of states in the Midwest, they'll just bring you on the job. Actually, a friend of mine is in Wyoming, and he's doing a firefighter program, and he's an EMT and got a ER tech position, and they just let him start drawing blood right away. So they kind of just trained him on the
Okay.
job. But in California, we're required to go through a California approved phlebotomy program. So that's a different. It's different everywhere. So
It's good to
yeah,
know.
it's easy to get into if you're interested. So phlebotomy probably isn't as hard to get into as a sonographer program or a X-ray program, but yeah, it's
Hey, that's good to know though. So no pressure.
I always
definitely.
suggest
Um,
phlebotomy. I'm like, go phlebotomy.
hey, that's
Yeah.
that's what I did first too. I was a
Oh, nice.
phlebotomist for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And my wife was a phlebotomist too, and she worked in a hospital. I worked at like a plasma donation place, which was pretty cool. But Jason, I wanted to ask you a question too.
Sure.
Um, it's another one from Brianna. How do you remember how you did this? How do you manage your time in school? This is
Yeah,
a good question. Family, think about all that. Family, work, school, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Fun.
that's a great question.
Yeah.
So, if this is something you really want, you're gonna do what you have to do to make it happen, right? So going back to the previous question about the interview, Giselle's absolutely right. They want to know if you take that seat in that classroom, are you the right person, right? Are you gonna make it happen? So, I remember in my interview, you know, one of the things that the director asked is do I work? So that was the main concern because the program was going to be a full time thing. Um, and I said I worked part time when I was really working full time because I had to. I had bills to pay. So I didn't want to let my director know or future director know that because it'd be very difficult to manage a full time job and a full time program. I don't care who you are. It's going to be tough. Um, so luckily, I had a job that had a flexible schedule, but I always chose school first. School always came first because that was my goal. That was my long term thing. The job, as good as it was part time and only for now, just to get me to the next stone, right? Um, so at that time as well, and that's just work, right? That's not including the girlfriend. That's not including the friends, right? And my house was a house where everybody liked to come and visit, and I would love to have people over. But during that time in school, I had that conversation with my friends and say, hey, guys, I want this, so if I can't hang around today or this weekend I can't do things, you know, it's nothing personal. I'm just trying to get something done here, and hopefully y'all could be supportive of it. So you really got to let people know that you're going for this thing. Like don't keep it a secret because then that's where things could go sour.
Mm-hmm.
So let your family and friends know what you're trying to do, and at work let them know what you're trying to do, and then managing your time will be that much easier because people understand there's a communication of why you're taking the day off today or why you didn't show up to a party, or something. So, and it's all sacrifice, right? Because I would have loved to spend that time with them, or I didn't want to miss that birthday party, but I had to. Um, so you got to make sacrifices, and you know your situation the best. So do what you got to do for your situation, because everybody's is different.
Yeah, same. Well, the sacrifice part is that's huge. And letting people know what you're doing. Also, I completely agree with that. Tell them like, hey, look, this is my goal. This is what I'm gonna do. But yeah, Giselle,
Mhm.
same question to you. Like, how did you're going to school right now,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
yeah.
for those who don't know, I'm going back to school for my master's degree, in
Wow.
business administration for healthcare management. I actually really resonate with this question and for you too, Jason, because I was also working while I was in my program, and the ultrasound program is like really hard, and I had to keep telling myself to really organize everything on the days that I could study and then on the days I could work. And when I was at work, I was at work. And when I was off of work, I was studying. I was also in a sorority and I also had, relationships at the time. So I was able to make it through. But a lot of it is what I tell people now is that, like you said, the sacrifice thing, what is mostly is important is that you're sacrificing something for like 2 years of your life for a lifetime of
That's right.
something that you want to do and you'll love to do and you'll end up loving it the whole way. Right now with school and I have YouTube and I have work and I have everything else, I just kind of make sure I'm organizing everything so that I don't get burnt out or stressed out because the minute you stop loving what you do kind of makes it a lot harder to get through it. I think if you guys find the joy in what you're doing as well, that'll help you manage your time because you're going to be excited to study, excited to drink that coffee, excited to go to the library with your friends and study. So I mean, I just really think if you like what you're doing and you're looking for your future, toward the future, everything else, it's just a moment in time.
Well said. Well
Mhm.
said. Let's see. I'm gonna keep moving on with the questions. This one, I don't really know how to answer it. I mean, I kind of do, but it says, "What's the pay difference with an associate's versus a bachelor?" Um, I don't know. Do one of you guys want to take this one? I don't really know because I have
Yeah.
associates, but I don't really see the difference. I mean, if you have a bachelor, like say you're MRI tech with a bachelor degree, I'm not sure if that would really help you unless you're probably trying to do management, I would
Yeah.
say,
Do you guys
like a
all have,
management.
did you guys all go through an associate's program?
I did an
Yeah.
associates, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I went to a bachelor's
Uh-huh.
program for ultrasound,
Uh-huh.
and for us specifically, there's honestly no pay difference.
Right.
The one
Mm-hmm.
thing that we like to tell people is that if you do end up going to a bachelor's program, you get more opportunity to go into higher education. Like, for
Mm.
example, I'm going to my master's degree. So if I
Ah,
got an
there it is.
associate's in ultrasound, I would have to go back to get a bachelor's. And then I'd have to go again to do the master's. So you kind of just jump a step almost, and then you can go to uh, higher management. But honestly, the pay depends on, I think, experience, right? Your years of
Mhm.
experience, where you live, and what you're going to be offered if you're in a hospital or an outpatient setting. I think personally, there's no real pay difference between the two degrees, but
Mhm.
it's different for other types of careers, right? Where the bachelor's will probably get you more pay. But there's two programs in Vegas, one's an associate's, one's a bachelor's. I came out of the bachelor's, and then let's say my friend came out of the associates. We both apply for the same job, same pay. At the
Same
same
pay.
time, same year, same experience, same pay. So that's how it
Hey,
is out
Jason.
here.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, let me ask you. So, as a teacher with a, do you need a bachelor's to be you're teaching, right? Teaching
Right.
X-ray.
Yeah.
Is a bachelor's required to teach X-ray, or is that something maybe they
See,
look
that's a great
for?
question, and I think Giselle hit the nail right on the head there. So, to be an instructor, especially in Texas, you
Mm-hmm.
can have an associate's, you can have a bachelor's, but at the end of the day, can you teach, right? Like, you know your
That's the main
information,
thing.
and is your license active?
Mhm.
So in Texas, we even have a limited scope, which is it's a shorter program. It's not an associate's, and you could be an instructor with that as well because you're a technologist. You went to some kind of schooling. Um, so I'm gonna have a day in the life of a radiology instructor come out this
Oh
year.
yeah, I want to see that.
Ooh.
Yes, I've been working on
Yeah.
it, and I'm actually gonna talk about all of that in great detail, and that way, because it wasn't something that I was planning on. It was an opportunity that came knocking at my door, and it was too good to turn down. So as an instructor now, I still have my associate's degree. There's no need for me to go into a bachelor's. Like there's no pressure. Like, hey, you gotta get that bachelor's. There's none. But if I do, then maybe some other opportunities might open up. But keyword there is might.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So I could still move up without it. But maybe if I have it, maybe that's the thing that makes it a little bit easier. I don't know yet. So what I would say is where do you want to be? Like, what is your goal? Do you want to be a radiology manager? Well, then you need a bachelor's.
Okay.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
can't
True.
wish for that without a bachelor's. You need
right.
the bachelor's for that. So
Well
that's a
said.
great question.
Well said. All right, we'll keep moving along here. Oh, well, I'll give some shout outs. This is your boy, right, Jason? Lazy Bones Radiology.
Mhm.
The
He's an
interventionist.
influencer too, right?
Yes, I
He has
believe
a
he has a
page.
YouTube channel.
He has a YouTube. I kind of just started following him because of you. Hey, shout out. Probably get you on. Um, there's this question, this guy. How to avoid burnout in rad tech school. Like, I think I definitely got some gray hair going through school, man. I don't know. I'll tell you guys a little bit like how I avoided burnout. So had a lot of sacrifices going to school and working, and I have my family, my wife, my kids. Um, it's hard to avoid it. I mean, you're gonna get burned out, but you got to make time to, go to some of those birthday parties, have some fun, do something you love, and don't cut off all your hobbies. Definitely try to exercise. You got to do some things that are gonna like release some of that stress. A good hard exercise, um, watching some comedy movies, something. But you can't just be all work, 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 because you're just gonna get so burned out. But then you got to see the bigger picture. You're like, well, I'm gonna suffer now. It's gonna change my life later. So those are kind of the things. Um, but yeah, let me ask. Let me shoot Eddie a question. So when you were going to school for phlebotomy, how was it? Were you like, how did you avoid, getting burned out? I'm sure you're probably working a normal job too, right? And just were you straight out of high school? How did you? That's hard, man. Because
Mhm.
I'm telling you, when I got out of high school, I don't know, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So yeah, how did you stay focused like that to get through school and avoid that burnout?
Well, I think when I was taking my phlebotomy program in high school, because it's high school, you know whether you're going to graduate or not. I think I had like free periods, so I guess I would use that to study. And my phlebotomy programs in California, it's
Mm-hmm.
40 hours of didactic training, and then you do a 40-hour externship. So I really only went to this phlebotomy program for a few weekends, and then what I really had to
Yeah, it was
study
quick, huh?
for, yeah, it was super quick. But what I really had to study for was a national exam. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in order to study for that, the school had study guides that you could study at the school. Nowadays, like I teach phlebotomy as well, and I advise my students that if you want something that's closest to the exam, you go onto that accrediting website. So, like for us, we have like NHA, NCCT, which are two national tests that you can take. And so, for anyone studying or wants to use their time most valuable, I'd say go straight to the source because there's usually some type of study guide that you can purchase, whether it's Kaplan, if you're pre-med or nursing, right, something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say avoiding burnout is going to be using your time the wisest, right? So
Nice.
although there's resources like Study Blue or Quizlet, that might not be the best place to study because those are students helping students. You want to get it straight from the source.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would recommend.
Well said. Okay, Giselle, what about you? Like, how did you avoid that burnout during the rad tech school? And you're going through it right
Yeah.
now, so just school in general, it doesn't,
Yeah. Well, honestly, we all know school's hard, life's hard, especially nowadays. Everything being online. I don't know. I didn't realize, because my master's degree is all online, and there are plenty of days where I feel so stressed out. But there are
Mhm.
things in life that I love doing, like talking to all the students and other sonographers and rad techs on Instagram and on the Discord, and just enjoying life at the same time will help you stress less. And there's already, like, I try to tell people all the time, there's like so much burnout in the field right now that it's going to be hard if you're burning yourself out trying to get to the burnout kind of thing. You're working so hard in school and then to come into this field, and then you're going to work even harder because it's your job and you're getting paid. So it's kind of like really focus on yourself, what makes you happy. I work out and I like to go out to eat, and those things make me happy, and then I go study. So just do stuff that
Sure.
you love to do. Hmm.
Go to Disneyland.
Oh yeah, go to
Hey,
Disney.
for sure. Hey, Jason, what about you, man? How'd you avoid that burnout, man, going through school? I remember going getting my look, I got my medical assistant and phlebotomy. I did that, first, and I was going to school, and I remember um talking to some x-ray techs that were in the program, and they were like smoking all these cigarettes. They were stressing over there. I was like, what's going on over there? I was kind of like intimidated. I'm like, man, is it like, how's that class like? So yeah, how did you avoid that burnout and that doubt, like, oh, how am I going to pass this test? And how'd you do?
Yeah, I mean, that could very much happen in these programs.
Mm-hmm.
and it did. I remember the class before me. That's when Facebook was just coming out. Like this, like Facebook was kind of fresh. And I think Facebook asked you like a question, "How are you doing today?" or something like that. And they saw from one student, very happy post, and then like towards the middle of the year, it was like very sad stuff and almost like depressed. And then
Yeah.
they had to reach out to that student. Um, so in our program, it was mandatory that we actually went with the counselor once a month. It was mandatory, whether you wanted to talk to them or not. You had to go.
That's pretty cool.
So I think that was important. And as an instructor right now, we have a very similar program. Like the students at any time with the burnout and with the pandemic and everything else happening, they could reach out. There's somebody to reach out to, even if it's your instructor. Like, come and talk to us. Shoot me an email, call me, text me, what's going on. So I think communication is important. What helped for me, because I wasn't that, like, I'm preaching that, but I wasn't that guy. I was very quiet to myself. There wasn't really anybody I thought I could go to. But what got me through at that time, I was in boxing.
Oh, cool.
And the punching bag was just my therapy. I would go there, and at that time, I would go with a trainer. That was my second option. If this didn't work out, I was going to go into that career. So I took that very seriously, but it was at the same time, it was just my thing. It was my thing to get away from it. So I would go running. I would go to the bag, take off some of that stress, and at the same time, it was a positive thing too, because I'm not doing anything that would hurt my chances of completing the program or getting to my goals. So, but that's what I would recommend. Even if you're just doing it for fun, boxing is.
I love boxing, man.
It's a fun sport. It really is. I recommend.
I got a bag in here too, like punching bag. Anyone, you know what I mean? Anybody can do it. Okay, there's another good question right here. Hold on.
Where was that question about pay? I liked that question. I wanted to say something about that.
Do you know about that? Okay, you're talking about this one?
That's the one. So
you want to take that?
Yeah, definitely. So I love questions when it talks about pay, because I'm big on salary transparency, right? If you don't know how much the person next to you is making, not that you have to ask your coworker, but what about the hospital down the street? And I don't think it's so much about city as it is about healthcare systems, right? So like big healthcare systems like Kaiser are going to pay better than a private practice down the street, especially when it comes to phlebotomy. And that's what I found. When I started as a young phlebotomist, I saw a lot of people in the field who were a lot older than me and who had turned it into a career. But when I heard what they were making, I was like, are you sure? Like, you're able to live off that? Like, they were making, $20 an hour and had been there for, 6 years or something. And that didn't seem right. And so what I've done, I've job hopped a little bit, but only because every position I've taken after the next has increased my salary or increased my responsibilities. So, in 2013, when I started, or 2016, I'm sorry, when I started as a phlebotomist, I was making like $16 an hour. But then when I got my experience and then moved up and I eventually worked for a bigger university system, I got all the way up to like 34, right? Wow, so it just depends, right? And so especially for phlebotomy, right? Something that you can take a weekend course on and then, really make
out of high school, making that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple years after. That was like 4 years later, but still, yeah.
But dude, how much was the loan, for that school?
Exactly. To not be honest, my parents covered me on that. I owe them. But yeah, you're right.
But you know what I mean? Like, how much was it? Like 5,000? How much you think?
I think the program was like 1,400. Now
1,400. See,
now
you made that back in like
25.
Yeah. See, that's wow. Yeah.
Not bad.
That's pretty good. That's a good move. Thanks for sharing that, like, straight up, because a lot of people will not want to share salary or how to make how much you can make. Like, they would keep that all like,
no, man.
Oh, you can't learn. I don't want to share these keys,
That's how you learn what healthcare systems pay the best. So I would say look into that. Ask other healthcare systems or people in those healthcare systems, because it can be a big pay jump. Yeah, don't get comfortable in one spot, for sure.
That's what I'm saying. You guys got to join the community, and this is all it's bigger than radiology, man. You know, we got phlebotomists. Eventually, we'll have doctors in here, nurses. It's all gonna be all tied in, and then whatever you guys want to do, learn about it, go to school for it. Um, you're gonna find all the keys, all different jobs you can do, teachers, mobile stuff. It's so crazy, research stuff. Um, but yeah, somebody asked a question about oh, here it is. What's usually a more calm setting, like an outpatient center or a hospital? And we can all answer this probably, but we'll start off with Giselle because, well, Giselle, you're in a hospital, but have you ever worked
Mhm.
in an outpatient or
Yeah. Yeah, so
you want to answer that?
I worked at a bunch of places. I worked
Ultrasound,
from
ultrasound
doctors,
tech guys.
yeah, ultrasound as doctors' offices, private patient care. And then outpatient centers where there's like, let's say there's a like a radiology group and they have multiple outpatient centers. I worked at those, and then I've worked at multiple hospitals. So I've probably worked at over 10 different locations in my span of the last 5 years. And I'll tell you that they both, for ultrasound at least, um, it's interesting to put it in a way where when I try to explain for outpatient, you have slot times. So you have patients coming in for an appointment. At the hospital, you have outpatients. Sometimes some hospitals have outpatients. They take outpatients, so they'll come in at a certain time. But it's not like outpatient where, okay, you're here from 9 to 5 and you have a patient every 30 minutes versus a hospital that has an ER, and then you also have floor routines and stats and things like that. So I think as far as for ultrasound, at least,
Mhm.
the outpatient is more like you have to be able to get your patients in and out
Mhm.
every 30
Mhm.
minutes. If
Hmm.
you're behind, and then your patients get mad. And so,
Yeah.
some exams, they take a little bit longer than 30 minutes, honestly. So the doctors, they kind of put, like I said from earlier, they push us to work really fast when if you're kind of doing the patient a disservice if you're working really fast. You might
Hmm.
miss stuff. In the
Hmm.
hospital, though, we get a little bit more leeway. Yes, you will see crazy types of exams. It's not really calm, but you can spend that 30 minutes with your patient that's on their gurney. You can spend, you know, 45 minutes doing a procedure. So they both have its obvious ups and downs for ultrasound, but I personally really enjoy hospital setting, and it's actually a lot. You can learn much more in that kind of setting versus an outpatient where you're going really fast to get these patients through and through. You learn how to get quicker in an outpatient setting, but in the hospital you can scan a patient. Like our students take 30 minutes to an hour to scan an abdomen ultrasound. When you get really fast, you could do it in 15 minutes. So, I it's kind of hard to answer that question for ultrasound, but most of the time people will think outpatient is more calm. They will think it is, but then you've got that whole I'm running behind thing,
Oh
so it's
yeah.
not as calm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well said. Hey, Jason, same thing to you. Have you worked in a lot of different things. I'm
Yeah.
sure you worked in an outpatient. Have you worked in a hospital too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, when you're doing your externship hours, you're in the hospitals,
You got
and
to, right? You
yeah,
got
we have
to.
to, and we're
Ah,
rotating hospitals. So,
nice.
I've been in the trauma 2 hospital, I've been in trauma 3 hospital, right? So it depends on the hospital as well, right? And then the population, like where are you at? Are we talking about a big city, or
Mhm.
are we talking about a country, right? Where like, even if you're in a hospital, so that's a very if you're looking for calm, I don't think calm is the main word in radiology. Like if you're
Mhm.
looking for a calm job or occupation, then maybe consider something else, because radiology is busy, and we're going to get busier. Like Giselle said, more patients, and that's just going to be what's to come as the technology gets better. They're gonna throw us an MRI, man. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. Nobody plans a pandemic, but these things happen. This is not the last one. There will be more. So I don't know if you want a calm job. There's plenty of other calm jobs out there, especially right now with technology. But more than likely, it could maybe take a while to get that like now that I'm an instructor, this is definitely way more calm. I mean, I'm here on a Saturday where normally I'd be on call right now. Right now, I'm looking at my phone like every minute it did ring. So even on your days off and you're on call, you can't be calm. At least I couldn't. I was always checking my phone. Um, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of like there's a lot of so just check your area, right?
Hmm.
Maybe if you want the calm, maybe a smaller town or something like that.
Like a rural area,
A
Yeah.
basically.
rural
Small
area,
city.
Yeah.
small city, and
Not
maybe one
Vegas, not
like
Not
Texas,
not
not
Vegas.
No.
LA.
No, no.
They're in the wrong spot
yeah.
for calmness. Eddie, sure you can answer this question too. Have you worked for like a lab, like a small lab, and then you work at a hospital now, right? So have you
Yeah,
done
so
both?
I've done both. Yeah, starting off, I think I started off in outpatient. And
Uh-huh.
outpatients usually calmer, I would say. I guess like you said, Jason, it really depends because sometimes you have those really early morning rushes in outpatient. Everyone's trying to make it to work and they're fasting, so you have a line of like 20 patients out the door, and that gets very busy. But then you
Eddie's
can also,
let
oh,
me tell him like, oh, in case you guys didn't know, Eddie, phlebotomy. We're talking about phlebotomists right now. I was
right,
just gonna let
sorry,
them know
yeah.
for the people that are just joining. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Eddie.
definitely
Sorry.
yes. So yeah, so as a phlebotomist or a lab tech or lab assistant, yeah, outpatient, it can get busy definitely in the mornings and the day, lunchtime, different periods of the day, and most of your patients are ambulatory, right? So they're walking in and out. In a hospital, it does get busy as well, but in a different kind of way. So like morning draws, you're gonna have almost every patient in the hospital at 4 a.m. have a scheduled draw, right? And so now you have to hit all of those rooms. But then if you work in the ER, you're not only dealing with an influx of patients, whether it's a pandemic or just a full moon, right? But you also have traumas coming in. So, and you guys know full moons,
We
but
got a lot of them.
right? It just depends where you're at. But I would always recommend if you want the best experience and most diverse experience, definitely a hospital because you're going to get all types of patients. And especially if you get to work like in an emergency department, you're going to have, 3-day-old babies who are getting drawn for bilirubins. But then you're going to have a 25-year-old motorcycle accident come in. And no matter who comes in through that door, they have to have their diagnostic testing, whether that's lab or x-ray or sonography. So it can be very diverse. Hospitals are 24/7. So if you want to work holidays and get that holiday pay or work nights and get that evening shift differential, go for a hospital. But if you like having weekends off and working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, go outpatient. So it's really what you want.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna talk about my experience. Yeah, the calmness thing or whatever. The only place I've been that where it's been calm is when I worked in the middle of nowhere. I worked in a town that was like, I don't know, 3,000 population over
Mhm.
here. This place called King City, ghost town. Freaking boring, man. I only scanned like maybe like 3 or 4 patients, whatever, a day. It was boring. There's so many cons to that. There's pros to that, but too many cons. Like, say you do that for a year and then you go work for an outpatient center where it's busy, you're gonna be like, man, you're gonna miss out on so much stuff. Like, I was only scanning like spines. You go back to the outpatient center, they're doing all kind of different stuff, and your skills just decline. So really, you don't really want to be in a calm place where your skills are gonna decline. And I feel like when you're in radiology or even phlebotomy, you kind of get paid based on your skills too. I mean, I've seen where they'll give individuals raises just based on their skills. They're like, wow, this guy is like, he knows how to scan everything and he's really our phlebotomist. Oh, this guy's getting everyone in ER. Let's bump his pay up. So working in these calm areas, I don't know. I don't think it's the right move you want to do, especially you're starting out. That's my opinion on it. I thought it was cool, but in the long run, I think it's just gonna hurt you, man. So we'll keep going on. Some more questions. We'll be wrapping up soon, but we're gonna get these last questions in. We've been on here an hour. We can be on here forever, but there's gonna be more. But yeah, let's run through some more questions. Let's see. Advice during clinicals to get more practice. Handling techs who would rather not teach you. This is a good one. we'll start at the top again. Giselle, how do you I want you to answer this one first. So how do you
Yeah.
handle like a tech who doesn't really want to train you? Like say if they're just
Yeah.
really irritated all the time, they get mad at you and you're just a student and you're like, what do you do? Like
Yeah.
how do you handle
Well,
this?
I'm curious if it's actually the same for you guys, because of course this is all based on all of our different experiences.
Yeah.
And what I tell students all the time that ask me this kind of question, because it's really hard. I think they need to understand that we're also working at the same time we're trying to teach you guys. So at the same time as us trying to teach you, we're also trying to get through our patients as well. So it's a little bit more difficult to have a student, but I hope that students go to a place where are they have a mentor who wants them to be better, right? I personally got so lucky to have a mentor that is just so amazing and wanted to teach me everything she knew. And I think everything I know is based on what she taught me. Everything I know now has nothing to do with school. Like, I'm going to be straight up honest, nothing to do with school. School helped me build a foundation, and it was my mentor who taught me everything. So, for those who have techs who don't want to teach you, unfortunately, it's super hard to get through that, and that's really hard to give advice, especially because how can we tell you to get a new teacher or like a new, mentor? But I think what you can do is just kind of show them that you want to be there. Ask if worse comes to worse, I would say ask your school, because they're the ones who are going through this with you and putting you at these different locations. But I would say I want a student that asks me that they want help. I want a student that asks me questions. I want a student that is willing to learn. I don't want a student who's just gonna sit there, and just kind of watch me. I want them to ask, "Hey, can I grab that probe? Can I do it? Can I scan?" And I know it's a lot harder nowadays because it's really busy out here for us. But we have to remember also, as stenographers or techs, that we are teaching the future. And if I want my kids to have good professional people out there, I have to be able to train these students to do that too. So hopefully that's what me and my community of ultrasound, we're trying to foster, mentors and people to want to help the students, because if we want better patient care, we have to also teach the future and to be better. So I mean, have those conversations with your schools and the directors. I don't know, it's kind of hard because there are those techs that don't want to help. So unfortunately, if you get a place like that, really try to reach out, and that's why my Discord is here, because everyone always like kind of,
Yeah.
they ask for help, they ask for advice, and that's what we try to do.
Definitely join that Discord, and Giselle's giving out great advice. Definitely do that. So yeah, we'll go down to Jason. So yeah, how would you handle, those techs that just they're not interested in training somebody, like, or what's your advice to that student that's there just struggling to like fit in because they're the new guy or new girl, and for whatever reason, other techs may be, they can feel a certain way, they can judge someone right off the bat, like some new student comes in, oh, they're lazy, oh, you know they think they know everything, oh, or you can have that trainer that's just doesn't want to train, they're just burned out. Like what would you do, Jason? What would you tell that tech? Because I get this question, I've gotten this question many times, like they're like, hey, MRI man, my trainer doesn't want to train me, they don't care about me, they just tell me to sit back there and watch. So yeah, what's your advice, Jason?
All right. So yeah, I mean, I always say the world of radiology is small. You know, there's usually somebody that knows somebody, right? You went to school with some techs, you know how they are, you know how they work already, you have some idea, right? And then so when the student does have a concern like that, we might know that tech and be like, no, that's not really that person, that doesn't make sense. So in that situation, it might be the student, and it might be what Giselle pointed out. Maybe that student isn't being assertive enough. Maybe they're not showing that they care. Maybe they're distracted. Maybe they're just nobody wants to hold your hand and be like, come on, let me show you. You don't expect a lot of that in our fields because we're on the clock and we have our responsibilities. Um, so as a student, you need to show that you're interested. You need to show that you want to learn. I think, like right here, like we're on a Saturday morning doing this, right? We don't have to do this, but we want to do this. And we're doing this for those who want it too, not the ones that don't want it, you know? So those of you that are joining us, thank you. And congratulations to you because you're separating yourself from the others. And so at the end of the day, this is somebody else who's coming into our field, into our world, and we want to make sure it's the right person, right? So does everybody make it through? No, it's always been the case. And you know, ART has their standards, ARDMS has their standards, and we need to make sure that we're abiding by their standards. So what you could do if you're in that situation is maybe just talk with that individual. Did I rub you up? Did I say something wrong? Is there more I could do? Just communicate. Don't avoid the situation because that's part of it. We're dealing with
Mhm.
all types of patients, all types of people. We need to have that in us. Um, Worst case scenario, it is the tech, right? Now let's go to that because it could be the tech themselves. Then absolutely go and speak with your instructor, go and speak with your director, and then we could address that situation. And then maybe worst case scenario, just put you somewhere else. So maybe it wasn't you. Maybe you're doing everything right. It was just the situation because everybody has problems in life. Um, so it's really like it comes down to communication, right? I think that's the important thing. And if the problem is not getting resolved, there's probably a break in the communication somewhere. Um, so I don't know if I answered the question, but I think that's my 2 cents on that part.
No, no, that's great. And then yeah, great advice. But Eddie, yeah, same question to you. And me being a phlebotomist as well, um, and training other people to do phlebotomy, and it could be stressful too, teaching a student. Or I've seen how other phlebotomists could talk to each other because it's hard starting out, dude. Finding those veins, sticking people in their hands, and just having that patience with someone like that. What would be your advice? Because this is a huge thing. Because you need a good trainer as a phlebotomist. What would be your advice, Eddie?
Definitely, yeah. So I think phlebotomy might differ a little bit than your chosen careers, only because in phlebotomy, we get it a lot from the patients and from our trainers because we're actually poking people with needles. And I mean, I guess if someone has an injury that's hard to move, I can see how you might cause them pain. But I think definitely in phlebotomy, it's every patient that we're sticking a needle into. And so if the patient feels uncomfortable or the patient feels pain, then that patient's going to tell you right away. And so it lowers your confidence. If you're moving too slow because you want to be very careful with the patient, then your trainer might tell you, hey, speed it up. You're slowing down the rotation. And so you kind of get it from both sides. But I always tell people, one, don't be afraid to miss a vein. Because if you're afraid to miss and you're always second guessing yourselves, you're never going to be confident. You're never going to build your own confidence. And also tell them no one should ever rush you, right? Because we're all trainers. I mean, we're all trainers. We're all phlebotomists. We're all there for the patient. And if we mess up, we all mess up, right? If I draw the wrong tube or if I hit a nerve on a patient because I was trying to rush, that not only looks bad on me as a technician, but also the healthcare system I work for and phlebotomy in general. People already have a stigma of getting their blood drawn and being poked and things like that. So you're also affecting the experience they're going to have with the next phlebotomist that they see after you. And so who put this in here? Someone said to be the tech, be the trainer, or be the tech that you want to be or that you wish you had, right? So I think we just have to learn from it, especially now in this day and age when, with mental health and everyone being more conscious about how they treat each other. Is different how people were trained 10, 20 years ago. So I think it just comes down to worrying about you improving yourself and improving your field for the future, because that's all we can really control at this point, right? So That's my input.
That's really good.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Eddie, that was great. Hey guys, I'm gonna introduce you guys to my wife right here, Gabby. She's also an MRI tech. She was a phlebotomist. Um, I don't know if I introduced you guys formally, but yeah, Jason, uh, you know your X-ray tech. She knows LOL
Yeah.
Giselle. This is Eddie, Allied Health Mentors. I was telling you about him. But yeah, she's in a lot of my videos. She's kind of the reason why I got into the medical field. She went to school first. Well, we went at the same time. She had a meeting with the counselor for phlebotomy medical assistant. I was just in the background. I just hopped in because I didn't want to get left behind. But now we're here. But yeah, I was gonna um, ask you the same question. We went around. Basically, how would you, a student was asking, like, how do you deal with a trainer that, just is being negative, doesn't want to train? Like, what would you tell that student? Like, how would you handle that like situation too?
Well, first of all, I want to say hi, guys. Nice to meet you guys. I watch all of you guys and follow you guys, so it's nice to finally kind of see you guys face to face.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, I think that happens a lot. It does where you're training with someone and they don't really they're either not great at it or they just don't want to help you, and unfortunately that happens. But I think that's why, like, what you guys are all doing and what MRI Man is doing is really helpful to students, because some students don't have that great one-on-one training, in their clinicals. And I think that this really helps them answer their questions. And, unfortunately, that does happen.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to find the answers elsewhere sometimes. And I mean, if there's a way that you can find someone else to train you, I mean, definitely try that. I mean, there are going to be some hurt feelings, but at the end of the day, you are the one, paying the money, and this is your education, and, no one can take that away from you. So, definitely try to see if there's someone else that can train you. But yeah, also look elsewhere. That's why he does this, because he wants to, he doesn't want anyone to be left behind,
All right, so we'll keep going. You guys all right? So okay, there's another question. This is Nader. Shout out to Nader. He's been following me a long time. Says, have you guys ever worked with that one coworker that acts like they know everything and treats you like crap and yells at you in front of patients? This can make a great job bad. So yeah, same thing. Start at the top. Giselle, have you ever experienced this before in ultrasound?
Not so much. I think because honestly, I think sonographers are very quiet people in general. I hear like, well, because we work by ourselves, right? So sonographers, for us, it's just us and the patient. So there wouldn't necessarily be a coworker in the room with us. So I don't know, that part doesn't really kind of work with us. But I mean, there have been times where there are people I've worked with and they feel like they know everything, and I'm just like, I just don't let the the work drama, or I don't let other people affect me. I know what I know, and they know what they know. If they know everything, that's great. I don't know everything, so I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna let them say whatever they want to say, but I don't involve myself with those kinds of things.
Great advice.
As far as ultrasound goes, just kind of do your thing, do your job, take care of your patient, and you're good.
The only little things I hear about ultrasound is like, oh, so-and-so they only grabbed the easy scans.
Yeah,
see?
That's
I know a little
that's
bit.
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know a little bit of that. Yeah.
So there's a few things, for example, with ultrasound, like some of the harder or difficult patients for ultrasound, for those who don't know, are patients who have a large body habitus, just because ultrasound uses sound waves, and we as the sonographer we have to use pressure to like push on these patients, and a lot of times when they're bigger, it makes the exam that much more difficult. A lot of our studies are technically difficult, and there are some sonographers who will skip over patients, or there's people who don't like vascular, they'll skip over the vascular patient, and honestly, that's on them, and I still just do my thing. If they skip it, I grab it. There's a testicle, I'll grab it. Somebody doesn't want a testicle, I'll grab it. Things like that. You if you let all those little things bother you, then it makes your job a little bit harder, and you'll start complaining. And I really don't like when other techs complain, because then it just brings your mood down. So if they're complaining, I just kind of like, yeah. And then I just kind of ignore it to get through
Do you know
it.
who I am? I'm LOL Giselle.
No, I'm just like,
Cut you off.
Why make your job harder
Yeah, true.
than it already is, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a hard patient. Like, I know I'm about to go into a room with a large patient, do some legs with my papper on. But, at the end of the day, if I complain about it, I still have to do it. Someone has to do it. So
someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Giselle,
go for it, Jason. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Giselle, I was just gonna say you got to put that on a shirt. If there's testicles, I grab it. Just
make
it in a sonography shirt. I think that'd be a great sonography shirt.
Because a lot of times people don't want to scan testicles, and it's very, very important. Y'all know
it's an easier scan, though, isn't it?
It's actually pretty easy to do.
Ultrasound.
Yeah.
Ultrasound techs. I see testicles. Oh man. Get it made, Jason.
It's so funny. It's just you don't even realize what you're saying because we're just so used to it, right? We're just so used to doing the thing. I mean, people don't know we do vaginal ultrasounds. Like, they have no clue.
Hey, like when we see we see a patient walking down the hall, they'll be like, "Hey, that's the breast right there." Yeah, grab the breast. Like, that's how we talk.
Yeah.
Is that my brain? Yeah, that's my brain. Like,
it's just like so normal. Yeah.
This is normal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we do it, right? Yeah. Yeah, Jason, same thing with you, man. Dealing with those difficult. Have you ever dealt with those difficult coworkers? They know everything and crap. Just
if they're there, I'm doing what Giselle's doing. I'm kind of like trying to zone it out as much as I can. And we're still co-workers, right? I'm still here. We're still going to get this thing done. We still have all our responsibilities. But I like to focus on getting myself better, right? So picking up those exams that nobody wants or that they find more difficult, that's an opportunity for me to get better at those. And so they're not difficult for me because I got more experience on there. So there's always ways to get better, and there's always just obstacles. So if that's an obstacle, you just got to try to work through it or work around it, right? So, and the thing is, you hope, you're in a positive environment, but sometimes you have to be the one to create the positive environment. Like, you're responsible. So, if somebody's been on the job longer, there's probably a reason. Right? They bring something to the table. We could all learn from each other. We don't have to be all best friends, but we have to work with each other, right? So, I mean, that's just. I think that comes with every job. I think just because you get a career doesn't mean that goes away. We could use professionalism as a reason why, like, and in trainings and things like that to address those kind of situations. So. Again, it goes back to not avoiding these kind of things. Like, try to work with it, work through it. A worst case scenario, maybe they might have to move somewhere else, or if that's not going to happen, then maybe just consider something else too. If the environment's that toxic, you have a career, you have a license, maybe start looking for something else. So that way it doesn't slow you down or affect you negatively.
Nice. Hey, I want to see Gabby's. Your opinion on this, how do you deal with that, and have you dealt with that? It doesn't have to be the current job, because you worked in the hospital, phlebotomy, and all that.
Yeah, it's definitely like I agree with what Jason said. At the end of the day, we are a team, and there's no point in bringing anyone else down. It's all about, assisting each other and just building each other up and giving the patient the best experience. That's what really matters. So, yeah, it's kind of hard. I think we've all been there where we work with someone who's just that way. They just want to put you down, especially if you're new or,
Mhm.
you just graduated. Sometimes you run into people like that who just, they want to feel superior to you because, you're new and you don't really know as much. And that happens, but I mean, all you can do is, take them aside and have a conversation with them and say, hey, you know what, like we need to work together and, like it's unacceptable. We can't, we can't be working, you can't work with people that way. So, you do have to put an end to it at some point. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to them directly, there's always someone else that you can talk to if it's a problem, but definitely, it's all about teamwork in healthcare for sure.
All right, and I guess I want to ask you guys all this question right now. Like, how does it differ from like the first year you started out to like where you guys are at now, as like the rep, or when you walk into work? Because I feel like when I first started off, people like doubted me, or like other techs doubted me, or they just like, you know what I mean? I felt like I get treated different than I do now, especially by everybody. Like, do you guys feel like when you got into radiology or phlebotomy, did you guys feel like you had to build your rep? Like, we'll start with you, Giselle. Did you feel like you had to like prove yourself when you got in?
Yeah, I feel like it comes obviously with time. Whenever you're a new grad or somebody that just comes into the field, we're already super scared to like go in there and do our thing. So I feel like it kind of just it's interesting. At first, your confidence, it's there, but you always have to like go through the hard times in order for you to build your confidence. So, I mean, looking at things as a perspective now versus then, like I remember radiologists would always call me. Like at my hospital, it's like if they call you, it's for a reason. And if they don't call you, you're good kind of thing. So I never really like to talk to the radiologist because I know if they do say something, it's because they're trying to say something. At other places, I know like outpatient, I was like, wow, their radiologists just like talk to them, like just for funsies. Like, so it's kind of like I'm scared of radiologists sometimes. But in the beginning, they would always call me. They would always say things. They would critique images and things like that. But now I almost get no calls because I've kind of gone through it all. And you kind of have to
That's
almost,
important.
it's like you have to prove yourself, not to anyone else, but to yourself, that you're doing the best for yourself and for your patient. Like I tell students all the time, um, people will say things to you out in the field, but as long as you know you're doing your best for the patient and you're searching as much as you can, because half the time it's so hard for us to see the pancreas. Like, so
Mm.
if we're doing our best, just because you can't find the pancreas doesn't mean you're a bad sonographer. So
Mhm.
just know that confidence will come with time. And I know for a fact after 5 years later, it's way different, because when I see the students coming in now, um, I can see like from the other side. I was there once, but
Mhm.
now on the other side, it's like, okay, with time, the more you see and the more you experience, it's kind of just like you kind of have to deal with it almost as a new grad, because sometimes it sucks coming out there brand new and you're hoping that people can help you and guide you, but you just have to kind of do it on your own, because no one's going to build your confidence for you. You just kind of build it as you go.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What about Jason? Jason, same thing. Like, do you see the difference between the first year you started out to like where you're at now? Um, when you did start out though, did you feel like, man, I gotta prove myself, build my confidence? Um, like how was that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, like my advice to students before they go into their externship is remember, like at this point you're a student. So as a student, be a confident student, right? So what does that mean? That means go out there confident that you don't know everything yet, that that you're fresh, that it's okay to ask questions, right? So, and it's okay to make mistakes. And if you're going to make mistakes, learn from the mistake, right? And try not to do it again. Um, but once you're in the field, that's it. You're in the field. You're a tech. You're no longer a student. So if you're still making mistakes as a tech, I mean, you're already building your reputation, right? And you're starting off on the wrong foot. So as a technologist, you should already have some confidence because you're already working with patients. So if I'm not confident, how is my patient going to trust me? Or because we're strangers, I have to, I'm going to give them instructions. I'm going to, expose them to radiation. They got to be able to trust me. So I got to come in with some kind of confidence. So if I'm not confident, it's because I need to work on something. What is it? Is it the skill? Is it that projection? So I think I do it for myself for the sake of the patient, right? And it's different from being cocky, right? I think a lot of people mistake confidence and being cocky. So what I'm saying is to be confident, not to go and act like we know everything because we don't. Even with years of experience, we're going to learn something new. That's what's great about this field. So don't cross that line of being confident and being cocky. We want to be confident for our patients. We want to be confident for our coworkers to know that, hey, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. It's going to get done. So that's just something we got to work on. It's a skill, like you mentioned earlier. So keep working on that skill, and that confidence will come with it. If I wasn't confident with my skills, I wouldn't be an instructor right now. If I knew I was not good, I would continue training and try to get better, right? That's why we have continuing education as well. But I felt like, you know what, I'm great at this and I need to teach others so they could also be better. And then maybe I could learn from them as well. So I'm still in the state of mind of learning. I always have. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I enjoy your content because I'm learning about ultrasound, MRI, right? Phlebotomy. So I haven't poked anybody in a while, but if I had to tomorrow or today, I feel okay. I feel confident enough to try it. Doesn't mean I'll get it, but yeah, you have to have some confidence, and I think we're losing that today. So if there's students out there listening to this, listen, you got to work on that confidence. You got to work on confidence, and you got to work on not giving into fear. A lot of people are giving into fear right now, and I understand fear, but that's what's going to separate you um, from succeeding or not succeeding. You just have to go in there sometimes, and a lot of times, even as seasoned techs, we don't know what we're walking into. We see the order, we see the patient's name, but we don't really know
The unknown.
Yeah, the unknown. We got to embrace
Yeah.
that. We got to embrace that and overcome it, right? And then learn from it. If we made a mistake, and part of continuing education is learning from each other, right? I run into this situation. Here's what I did. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. So that way, when you're in that situation, you have some confidence of what to deal with. So yeah, it's a progress. It's a progress, but it's up to the individual, I think, to work on that.
Yeah, Gabby, do you want to talk about like the journey to like gaining that confidence as a tech, and like how did you deal with like making mistakes, and everyone the whole department knows you're making mistakes, and how do you deal with that? Like how do you deal with the criticism, and how do you do that?
Well, I mean, you have to realize that you're not going to know what they know, obviously. So you have to go into it just, with an open mind, and you have to take the criticism because, it's going to make you better if you hear the same thing, you did the same thing over and over, maybe, take some notes, and that way, you'll kind of start to improve. And but I think it is, we all make mistakes, and it's important, in the beginning of learning to make mistakes and learn from them, and they help you grow. But like as Giselle and Jason were saying, it is also important um, to build up your confidence. So you have to be confident that even though you don't know it all, you're confident that you're going to try your best and that you're going to give the best care that you can with what you know, and ask questions if you don't know something. Don't pretend to know something. Definitely don't pretend you know something if you don't. Um, so the confidence part isn't just pretending to know everything. It's like, just have the confidence that, hey, you know what, like, we're going to get through this, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to do my best. And because the patient also knows, and they see it, and they see that if you're not confident, the patient's not going to trust you, and then it's just, you're going to have a bad reputation if patients just don't trust you. So that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, Eddie, I want to talk to you about that, because with phlebotomy, how important do you think confidence is with phlebotomy, and what's your advice for that new student coming in, going in to draw their blood for the first time, like by themselves? Like, what's your what would you tell them?
Yeah, I think there's an expression that says you always be the dumbest person in the room, right? But not in a negative way, but in a way that you should always be a sponge. No matter how much you know, there's always an opportunity to learn something more. And so I think that's a great mindset, right? Always seek out new information and new methods. And when it comes to phlebotomy, like I said before, you're poking someone with the needle, right? You have a really small vein that's about half an inch wide, if that, maybe a couple centimeters, if that, to hit. You have to hit your target, and that comes with practice. But I think having confidence internally is going to go a long way, because if you don't, the patient's going to see it, your coworker is going to see it. When I first started, my hands would shake. It's such a fine-tuned skill to learn. My hands would shake. I would sweat. I would get really hot in my lab coat, and sometimes the sweat would drip down, and I'd see it in slow motion drop to the floor. Like, things like that happen. So I would say just keeping yourself centered internally is going to help you the best, and just being confident. And like I mentioned before, don't be afraid to miss, because then you're going to second guess yourself all the time. And not only with the patient, right? Not only with the patient and being confident, but also out on the floor. If you're in a hospital, all of us, if we're working in hospitals, deal with nurses, doctors, respiratory therapists. Every it's a collaborative effort, right? And so if we display confidence to them, our job's going to be much easier, and the communication and patient care is going to be greater than it could have on our own. So I think that's where I stand.
Facts. Yeah, man. I think that confidence, everything, dude. Just like the way you talk to people, or sorry, talk to patients, the way you carry yourself, the way you're setting up your equipment, that all plays a key. Because if you're over there shaking, your voice is shaking, and you're like, you keep doing that, patients be like, wait, how long have you been doing this? Like, that's what they're gonna ask you, right? How long have you been doing this? Like,
Well,
if you're
I always
just
tell patients, always ask me, how long have you been doing
yeah,
this? And I say it's my first day.
my first
And they
day,
get a kick
yeah,
out of it, right?
it's
Or
hilarious, dude. So
I'll
First
say
day.
I'll say
gotta be able to joke too.
the first time didn't go so well, so I'm hoping the second time. So
You're
I'll
like,
say
oh,
things
damn.
like that, but I wouldn't say that on my first day, right? Only with confidence.
Yeah, only with the
So,
Yeah.
confidence.
yeah.
So we're ready to close this, but I'm gonna go around one more time. So like, LOL Giselle. Like, I don't know why I keep calling you LOL Giselle. Giselle, whatever. You
Lolgeselle.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
LOL.
Yes.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha.
People don't think
Um,
it's LOL. They're like, lol.
LOL Giselle.
LOL.
LOL.
LOL. It's like laughing, you know?
Yeah, you're always laughing, right?
I know, literally.
Yeah. So like, okay, like, do you wanna like say something to all the people out there, all the followers, whatever you want to talk about? It's all, the mic is yours right now. Like,
No,
just whatever you want to
so
say
much
to people.
pressure.
Anything.
Yeah,
Millions.
anything.
No, I was playing.
Yeah,
1,000.
no. I mean, well, first of all, I appreciate you and appreciate you guys all being here and giving us this platform to even speak and be able to talk to a bunch of people. This is really cool. But I just want everyone to know that there is a community out there. I think the generation right now is very lucky that they have all of this, and I think they should utilize it to the best of their abilities. We offer so much stuff. This is all free stuff that is like happening, and you can just get on the internet and look and figure it out. I tell new students all the time, I'm like, if you don't know what it is, Google it, because that'll help you figure out what you're doing. But always don't be afraid to ask, you guys. There's a community out here. We're willing to help you guys. And I just want everyone to know this is why we do what we do, why we get on here. We don't do it just because, we do it because we want to. And I think it's really cool that there's a lot of people out there who are getting into this field who still, even under these circumstances right now, still want to provide and still want to learn and still want to go into the healthcare field. So I just want to say, you guys can do it. Never give up, because if I gave up a long time ago, I wouldn't be here right now.
Follow your dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, go follow LOL Giselle everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, Discord. I put the links in the description.
Yes.
Go follow her for sure.
Thank you.
And yeah, man. Okay, let's pass it to Jason, man. Close it. Whatever you want us to talk about, Jason, go for it. Floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you, MRI Man, for putting this together. Thank you, Giselle, for everything you do. Thank you, Eddie. Good seeing you again, man. Yeah, I'm excited for the future. I think we all have plans to continue doing what we're doing. Right now at this point, I have a website. I have, a couple of social media platforms under your X-ray tech. I'm bringing a lot of things in the near future. I'm working on a lot of new things. And all this is for those that are in the field or interested in the field. So whether you're a student or a technologist, we're creating this content for you, right? Don't ever feel like there's nothing out there. And these fields are challenging. MRI is challenging. Ultrasound is challenging. Phlebotomy has its challenges. X-ray definitely has its challenges, whether you're in the program or in the field. So we could all continue to learn. So, if you're one of those that needs some guidance, then check out the website. Maybe you'll find something there that can help you get to where you're trying to go. If you're a technologist or somebody with experience in the field and you want to share some stuff, we're all here. Reach out to us and let's do something, whether it be a podcast or whatever. So there's definitely way more about our field. So it's very exciting. I think we're at the very beginning of all this, and I'm looking forward to the future. So thank you for the support. Keep supporting, everybody that's on here, and feel free to reach out whenever you need anything.
Same thing. Your X-ray tech. I put the links in the description. Go sub to his channel. Go to his website. And we're all gonna keep working together. Eddie, close it out. Whatever you want to talk about, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I think always seek out new opportunities and don't be satisfied being comfortable. Seek out that discomfort. I'm a phlebotomist. I teach phlebotomy, but for the last year, I've had an opportunity to work as more of on the sales side of the clinical laboratory and medical device. And so currently my full time is working from home and traveling to different hospitals in different states when I get a chance. And that opportunity wouldn't have come if I would have said, oh, I'm just going to be a phlebotomist and stay working in the hospital at this, nice job. Someone reached out, my manager reached out to me on LinkedIn. I found an opportunity to do something more than just phlebotomy and to expand my knowledge and my horizon, and I took it. So I say definitely, don't be comfortable with being comfortable, right? Get on LinkedIn, build a professional profile, and reach out and network with not only people in your field, but other fields. I've never, had these type of conversations with X-ray techs and sonographers and MRI technicians, right? So this is a great place to experience that. I think everyone here has something amazing to offer. You guys got me thinking I should switch my career, right? So we'll see. I love what we're doing. Yeah, and follow all of us, and let's all do great things together, right?
Same thing. I got Eddie's links in the description. Go follow him. Look out for new content from him as well. And then I'm gonna pass to my wife, Gabby, right here. You wanna talk to them?
Yeah, I just want to say, great job, you guys, on everything that you guys are doing. It's really cool that you guys can come together and do this because, yeah, 5-10 years ago, we didn't have anything like this. We didn't have anything. Even when we were in school, we didn't have anything like this where we could
Yeah.
see, an ultrasound tech, an x-ray tech, and a phlebotomist, an MRI tech, and all at the same time and ask questions. So I think that's really cool. So keep up the good work, guys. And then, students and any other, techs out there, just, don't give up, and definitely follow these guys for some great advice.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, this isn't gonna be the end. We're gonna keep working together. We'll plan some more videos to come out. We'll collab. One day, I don't know, we'll meet up somewhere, whether it be like Vegas, LA, I don't know, somewhere around there, and
Mhm.
we'll do a video. We'll have a conference. I'll bring all my followers. You bring your followers, and we'll have like we'll have like a event or
I'll hang
something. I
out.
don't know. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's gonna happen. You guys are amazing. Hopefully, this isn't the one time we do this the whole year. Hopefully, we can get some more. And but yeah, you guys, I'm on Instagram, YouTube. I got TikTok too. But yeah,
Mhm.
man, thank you guys so much for coming out. It wasn't even like I didn't even give you guys that much notice, but I'm glad you guys did that. And everybody, thanks for joining us. This is one more. Okay, Zone 3. You guys heard of Zone 3 podcast? I've seen some of their stuff. Yeah, tell them to hit me up,
Mm.
man, and we'll do it. See, I work with anybody, not anybody, but if you guys I see you guys doing the right thing, but I don't choose anybody, but if you guys got the right message, like I've seen you guys, I was like, oh, we have to work together, man. Amazing. I can talk to you guys all day, but
I
I said it
know.
was only an hour. We went way over, but it's cool. Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah, thank you
Alright.
so much for
Thank
having us.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Amanda, and thank you, everyone.
Later.
Be
Guys,
safe.
take care. Yeah, be safe out there.
Be
Later,
safe.
guys. Spread knowledge,
Bye.
motivate people. All right. See you later, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Peace. All right, and that's it, guys. Yeah, man. You got anything to say? I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna end it. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.